You are listening to the Spurs-Related podcast. Listen for free on Anchor and Spotify.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Spurs-Related podcast with your host James. And as always, I am joined by my co-host Andre from Spurs-Related today. Welcome on in, Andre, all the way from Canada as always. How you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm doing well. End of the season, so lots to talk about.
It is the end of the season, and I don't know about anyone else, but I'm feeling very relieved it's the end of the season because that was one of the most awful Spurs seasons for a long time. And started off so well, didn't it, Andre? Started off Tottenham top of the league in, I believe, October or November. After that 2-0 win against Manchester City, and basically went all downhill from pretty much then. We lost to Liverpool. We were pretty much unbeaten. Lost to Liverpool 3-1, and we went on a horrendous run all the way through Christmas. I think we went as far down as 5th or 6th. And then through the year, the new year, 2021, just got even worse. And I don't know about you, Andre. I'm feeling very happy the season's over because I couldn't take much more of it. It actually ended all right. I know it sounds awful, like we finished 8th. That's not good, but it was a relief we didn't finish behind Arsenal because we nearly did, and it feels like a bit of a burden this Europa Conference League, but we'll get on to that. Would you agree with what I'm saying there, Andre, or were you buzzing for more Tottenham football, which I doubt you were?
No, I think you're correct. I think after that Liverpool game, we just didn't recover. This happened right after the Champions League final as well. We took a very big L, and we really took it to heart, and then we didn't move on. We didn't look at the next games coming up. And I think that's a problem that Tottenham has, is we get our hopes up, then something happens and we just start losing, and we don't move on and start concentrating again. Losses happen, like you just gotta have to keep moving.
We just crumble, and it's like you're saying, almost like a domino effect. Like one thing goes wrong, one game against Liverpool turns into bad performance after, and you think it can't get worse, and it's even worse performance the next week, and then it's an even worse performance, and you get the picture. But let's talk a bit more positively. We're gonna move on to a topic which we created today, and we're gonna rate the top 5 Tottenham players of the year. Now, obviously, like we're saying, it was a poor year for Tottenham. We're not gonna escape that, but we're gonna try and take some positives out of the season, aren't we, Andre? Now, I'm gonna say we're gonna go from number 5 to number 1. And we've both got a list we've created. Now, I don't know if there's some differences. I'm not too sure what Andre's put down, and he's not too sure what I'd put down, but I'm sure we can agree on number 1. But let's see what happens. So without further ado, Andre, who have you put down as your number 5 in terms of the best players of the season for Tottenham?
So my number 5 is actually Bale.
Okay.
I think for the amount of money we were paying him, yeah, he definitely got overpaid. But I do think he did come back very well in the last few matches. Got lots of points, especially that Leicester one.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Mason's style fit him much more because he didn't have to push back as much. And that's what sort of had him much more present in the game. But that's my number 5.
I think that's fair enough. I think if there wasn't such a high expectation, I think Bale would have been higher. And also, obviously, he didn't play a lot of the season at the start. If he played the start of the season at that form and obviously got the chance more, I think he would probably be top 3 for me. But or maybe top 4 if you were pushing it. But I think Bale isn't my number 5. For me, Bale is in my top 5, but he's not number 5. I've gone for a controversial one. Now, I don't know if you're going to agree with this one, Andre, but I've actually put Lucas Moura as number 5. Now, yes, he didn't get the biggest goal contributions. I just think a lot of the games there's a few games he was man of the match. I'm thinking of a few performances where he didn't play. He didn't get a goal contribution, but he was like the real sort of, you know, when a player's got so much energy, it kind of tries to lift all the other players. He never stops running, Lucas. He's not a lazy player. He's probably one of the furthest from it in that Tottenham side. And a lot of those players were coasting this season, and Lucas showed them up. He really did. And I think that was good. And I think he got 3 goals and 4 assists in 30 appearances, which, you know, it's not mind-blowing for a winger. It really isn't. But I just believe Lucas Moura is my number 5 because, A, no one else, for me, played much better than him, and B, I think, like I'm saying, his energy, he just wants to play for Tottenham. He's not one of these players like Dele where he sometimes does and sometimes he's like, oh, I'm not fussed today. And that's nothing against Dele Alli. That's just the way he is. But for me, I would want Lucas Moura in my team because I know I can rely on him to give 100% pretty much every game. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really agree that Lucas Moura was really that good this season. I do think it was the kind of season for him that he's had every single time, where some games he's really good, some games he's not even there. He's in and out when it comes to his performances. Just for me, it's just an average season that Lucas Moura has, nothing special. But you know what? That says a lot to how things were this season. If Lucas
Exactly, yeah.
Moura stood out from everybody in the top 5,
I think the thing you've got to remember about, obviously, like, we haven't had a great season, but the thing you've got to remember about a player that has ups and downs and isn't great some games and can go missing is it even happens to the likes of Son. Now, I'll give you an example. Son wasn't very good in that final, and neither was Kane, really, because they weren't getting service. So sometimes the player doesn't have a good game, not only because of their performance, but because of the team around them. That's all I would say to try and defend that point. I wouldn't say you're wrong. I'm just saying, for me, if a player doesn't score or get an assist, personally, I don't think that's the end of the world because sometimes there's a bigger picture. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that, at least in my case, I'm pretty sure Bale has more goals and assists than Moura, and Bale had a much more dodgy season at the beginning. So
I mean, Bale's still in my top 5. He's higher than Lucas, so it's, I know what you're saying, but I still think Bale had a better season. So we're going to number 4 without further ado. You crack on. You tell me your number 4.
So I actually think it's Lloris. I put him as number 4. I think
Wow.
if he wasn't there, if it was some other goalkeeper. Well, actually, we didn't really have any. Like, I didn't really rate Hart, to be honest, when we brought him in. I think we should have kept Gaza, but and now he's gone. So, but I think he did well for what was happening in the defensive line. I think our defense was so bad that it made Lloris look bad. There were a lot of times that the opportunities that the other team had were just, it was going to go in. There's no stopping those. I think Lloris has sort of declined a little bit. There are a couple of times where he's missed some really easy saves. I know that, I think it was last season, right before all of this happened in the Champions League, where RB Leipzig was able to score in his near post, and I could not believe that he didn't save that.
Yeah, he didn't have a good. Yeah, I remember that game 3-0. He should have got near to at least 2 of them. I remember it.
But I do think overall, he did play well. He made some really good saves at the end of the season, especially. And at one point we were first, so you do have to give him credit for that.
I would agree. I actually have below Lucas potential 5th place challenges. So I'm just going to run through them quickly. So my challenger for Lucas was Lloris. Like you said, I would agree. I would have given him like a 7.5 out of 10. I did in my review on SpursRelated. But I also think, and I think you're right about Lloris, I think at times he's shown he is still world class. And I think we should keep him. A lot of people think we should sell him. I think we should keep Lloris. I think we should be careful what we wish for, because we could quite easily end up with a worse keeper than Lloris. But I also, and I don't think you're going to agree with this one, I also had Aurier knocking on the door for top 5. Now, This guy obviously had an absolute shocker in the final. He gave away the free kick that resulted in a goal. Wasn't needed. Near the corner flag. Wiped out whoever it was. Wasn't needed. Agreed. 100%. And he's had a couple of dodgy sort of times where he's made fouls, given away silly yellows, even like reds. But the thing is for Aurier, people underrate his crossing ability. When he gets forward, he is our best deliverer of ball in that whole team, 100%. Yeah, of course, Son and Kane and Son get the most assists because they do 1-2s to each other, nice movement. But Aurier, I think Aurier got 3 goals and 4 assists, right? I believe. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It was something around that. Now, as a right back, you're not expected to get much more than that. And he made some brilliant crosses, and sometimes no one gets on the end of the cross. Okay, not all of his crosses are brilliant. I'm not going to start saying he's, David Beckham with his delivery, but he for a right back, he is very good at delivering, and he's actually, although he can be caught sleeping, getting back at times, he's one of the best attacking right backs. I'm going to say in the league, because although he's not the best right back in the league, I think again it's a case of be careful what you wish for, Spurs fans, because if Aurier leaves, not only are we going to be left with Matt Doherty, and if we don't replace another right back, which at times we've seen with Jan Vertonghen leaving and not getting replaced, you have to be careful what you wish for, because unfortunately with our owners, we don't know what's going to get what Aurier would get replaced with. And I do like the fact that he has got a bit of aggression at times. Yes, he shouldn't get silly yellows and reds, of course not. But at least he sort of, I'd rather he wasn't just a bit of a lull like Harry Winks, hasn't got much emotion, just goes through a game and, oh yeah, if we lose, we lose. That's what I feel like with some of the players in that team. Same with Moussa Sissoko. Terrible season. Didn't get much of a chance, but when he came on, he went back to that fraud version we saw in the first year. So, agree with me or not agree with me, Aurier, but I think he was about 7th or 8th best player, 6th or 7th, 8th best player for Spurs this season. I don't know what people think. Again, commenting below if you think Aurier had a better season than some people say, but I mean, that's what I thought. I don't know what you think.
I just think that if you're a defender, you need to defend. You can attack all you want, but if your defending is not good, not good.
But I don't. But you were mentioning before that Reguilon had an all right season. Now, for me, I thought he had a poor season because for that very reason, Reguilon's crossing is not as good as Aurier's. Yet Reguilon actually isn't fantastic. Yes, he's probably better defensively than Aurier, but at times he's caught sleeping. At times they're running through their right, the attacking right wing, and Reguilon's still on the previous attack. Yeah, he's quick, but sometimes he's a bit slow to get back. I would argue.
That's true, but I don't know. At least to me, it seems like there's a couple of attributes that Reguilon has that he uses to his advantage. I think because the last few games are much more fresh, all those mistakes he's made are very they're there, but I think he's got that pace, and it's this burst of pace that doesn't need any acceleration. He just immediately turns it on, he goes, and he gets the ball. The amount of times that I've seen him intercept something is ridiculous.
So would you say Reguilon had a better season than Aurier?
If we're talking about the whole season, yes.
See, I this is where it's a nice debate because I would say Aurier had a better season than Reguilon. Personally, because I see what you're saying. I don't say your points are wrong. For me, Reguilon, I think it's the expectation that he's come from Real Madrid, like we were saying. He's this brilliant left back, had a great season at Sevilla. For me, he just hasn't lived up to it. He really hasn't. He just hasn't. I hope he gets better, but I think it's that expectation for me that I thought he was going to be really good, like almost like a Spanish international. He's just not.
I mean, it is his first season in the Premier League too, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. While Aurier's been here for a few years, so I
don't know why. I just don't think he's going to be as good as people think. That's just my opinion. We'll soon see. I might eat my own words. You can come and clip me saying it if you want. But do you know what I think would suit Spurs? And I've said it for a while. I think having wing backs. I think we should try wing backs under the next manager because, as we've said, Aurier and Reguilon are quite good attacking, but they can't really defend. So why don't we play them both wing back? And when Aurier's not playing so well, what about Matt Doherty? Matt Doherty might actually do well at right wing back. That's what he did at Wolves.
Yep. Yep.
And
You're
then
right.
but the only thing with doing that is, guess what? We need another 2 defenders. We need another 2 centre backs. Not only one, we'd need 2.
Yeah.
Because GPS Sanchez, as our shot Spurs says again, Eric Diabolical, and I just they
Yeah.
can't go on. They can't go on.
Yeah.
Can't.
That's
But
fine.
but go back to our top 5. Sorry,
Back
we
to the
have
top five.
diverted. So who did you have as number 4? You had Lloris.
I
So
had
it was my
Lloris.
turn. I
Yeah.
put down Bale. So again, we won't go through it, but I thought Bale had a fantastic end to the season. Should have been utilised more by Mourinho, but for various reasons wasn't. And then when he was utilised, Mourinho was like, "Oh yeah, we got this world class player that scored a hat trick against Sheffield," and it's like, well, no surprise, because he is a world class player, and it was great to see him
Yeah.
back in a Spurs shirt for a year. Fantastic. Hope we see him again, but if it means freeing up some money to buy an actual good centre back, then I don't mind not having him again.
Yeah, and I
That's my
understood at
opinion.
the beginning too. At the beginning of the season, he was, slowly making his way, picking up his form, and getting
Fitness as
fit.
well.
But then he just never played him. He played him for like 10 minutes in matches, and then he would not play him afterwards, say, as if he wasn't effective. But you can't just give someone 10 minutes. You
It's not
need to
enough to
give
make
him
an
20.
impact, yeah. And then
Yeah,
he started him against those games against, was it Palace and Sheffield United? I'm trying to think of the other one. Was it Burnley, where we won 4-0, and he was
yeah,
quality. He was quality,
yeah.
probably as good as Kane. So there we go. Third, I've got down Højbjerg. Who have you got down?
Same thing. Very
Højbjerg,
good.
brilliant signing, one of the signings of the season, especially for Tottenham, signing of the season. Fantastic. Came in, was one of the best players for Tottenham in those first few games. Maybe arguably fell off at the end of the season, but
Yeah.
I would give him a solid 8 out of 10 this season. Really solid CDM, just what we needed. After it was almost a late Moussa Dembele replacement. I mean, we've been screaming out for a player like that for a few seasons now, and I'm finally glad we've got him. I think
Yeah.
it was a steal as well for the price we paid. So, anything to add on that?
Yeah, no, I think you've said it exactly how it was. I think he's a wall that we needed there
Mm.
to shield the defenders. I think once we get better defenders, maybe we'll see more. I think there was a lot of on Højbjerg's plate, because as soon as something was let loose, they would possibly go in, goals wise for the
Mm.
other team, because their defense was so poor.
Yeah, I would like to see how well he does with an even better defense if we do sign centre backs. If we don't sign centre backs and we're starting this pod next season with no centre backs, I'm going to be on a run. But anyway, moving on. So we kind of we've agreed with third place. Now, I'd be very surprised if we don't have the top 2. Otherwise, something really has gone wrong. So
Yeah.
my number 2 is Heung-min Son. Fantastic season. I presume
Yeah.
yours is as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, fantastic season. Probably one of his. Would you say it's his best season in the Tottenham shirt? I would say so. Again, a bit like Højbjerg, fantastic start and middle to the season, but maybe fell off slightly at the end. Might be a bit harsh, but I mean, I'm one of the biggest Son fans going, and even I would admit he fell off slightly, but then again, the team did as well. Maybe didn't
This is
get.
honestly, yeah, this is the season I thought he would have after that Champions League run that we had, where he stepped up when Kane was injured.
Yeah, it's almost a year delay on that. I would agree. I think obviously he's had fantastic seasons at Tottenham throughout, but this is his biggest contribution to goals and assists. 17 goals and 10 assists. Fantastic figures. Nearly, that's almost pushing a goal contribution a game for a left winger slash striker. Fantastic. Just that partnership with Kane was something I don't think we're going to see. Well, I hope we see it again next season, but obviously
Yeah.
there's a good chance we won't. But that was really, really good. I mean, some of the play that he made was just unbelievable. I mean, there's not many more words for it, really, is there?
Yeah, I would actually argue that Mourinho's style fit them so well. It
Mm.
was so reliant on them to be partnering together, finding each other constantly. I don't know about you, but I found that even though we seemed a little bit more loose when it came to Ryan Mason, Kane and Son kind of dropped off a little bit. They
Mm.
weren't really finding each other
Yeah, and
either.
that's maybe what that links to, like the drop off of of Son, because also Kane scored a few at the end, but it wasn't quite the rate, was it? And I think a lot of the reason for that was the fact Bale mopped up a lot of the goals. Bale took a lot of the goals. Højbjerg got one at the end, didn't he, against Wolves? So yeah, I would agree with you there. I think Mourinho's style really did fit the two. But obviously, in terms of the link up again, I hope we see them again together. Obviously, we're not so sure about the Son contract. That should push through, hopefully, of course. But the Kane one's the one up in the air, and obviously, we're not too sure what's going to happen there. And obviously, a bit like we're mentioning, for me, number one is Kane. Not too surprised at that one. Of course, same as Andre. Obviously, I'd give him 10 out of 10. Couldn't improve much more. Figures were ridiculous. And most goals and most assists in a Premier League season is something that hasn't been done since, who was it? Was it Andy Cole or someone like that? It's the first time for absolutely years, and I can't see that happening again because it's so rare for a striker to have that much impact. And because if it came perfectly under Mourinho, like you said, dropping deep, receiving the ball almost as far back as centre mid, and then pushing forward.
I would argue he was our best defender.
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. At times he was as far back as the centre backs, wasn't he? And that just shows how much he wants to play for the club. People will argue Kane might not want to stay for the rest of his life, but he does love Tottenham, and he does put his heart and soul into it. Every goal for him, whether it's against Sheffield United or whether it's against Barcelona in the Champions League when we're in it, it just means so much to him to score every time. He loves it. He loves pushing for records, and I'm so glad if it is his last season. Obviously, I don't hope it is, but if it is his last season, what a way to go. What a way to go. Most goals, Golden Boot, third Golden Boot in his career in the Premier League, and most assists as well in the Premier League. Beat Bruno Fernandes, who everyone's like, oh, Bruno Fernandes, don't be wrong, quality player. But Kane's beating him for goals and assists, and he's a striker. It's just phenomenal, really, isn't it?
Yeah, he had an amazing season. I couldn't believe it once he got all that. I noticed that at the end, though, he was really pushing for that golden boot because he knew we weren't getting any trophies. So he was just
he's going for his individual ones.
Yeah, he
don't blame him.
especially with the way that Ryan Mason was setting it up, and it was fine. He was finding it hard to find Son, or Son finding him. So he was just cracking shots from everywhere, just trying to.
But I mean, that goal against Leicester to secure it because he beat Salah by one. What a goal! That swivel volley. Ugh, not many players can do that. The technique on that is, it went under Schmeichel's legs. That's how fast it was going. Schmeichel's had a fantastic season for Leicester, and even he got nowhere near it. He didn't know what was going on. So, yeah, he got that. So that was our little season roundup. I enjoyed that. We're going to briefly go on to the manager speculation. Obviously, exciting times, fingers crossed, linked with Pochettino to return to Tottenham, and obviously Antonio Conte is heavily linked as well. Now, for me, I would rather have Pochettino. I don't know what you think, Andre. I'll come to you in a minute, but let me just say one thing about Mr. Levy. I think it is embarrassing that we are replacing Pochettino. Technically, we had Mourinho on an 18-month loan while Pochettino trialed out if PSG worked for him. Hasn't really worked out for him. Didn't we win the French league? Won the French Cup and the French Super Cup. But by PSG standards and how much better their squad is compared to everyone else, losing the league to Lille is a tiny bit embarrassing. Yes, of course, let's not take credit away from Lille. They did fantastic to win the league. Good, decent number of points to win the league. But, PSG shouldn't really be losing many games in that league at all. And I wouldn't say it's the most successful tenure with PSG. Yes, he got 2 trophies. Buzzing to see him win them. Which he obviously didn't win at Tottenham, but I think it's time to come home, Poch. I really do. I think it's time to come home. I think Levy's realised that. He's obviously in talks with him. Maybe even by the time this podcast goes out, we might have a new manager. I think it's going to be between Pochettino, Conte, and Ten Hag. I don't know who you'd prefer. Go on, Andre. I'll let you have a little chat about who you want.
I'm not sure which of the 3 I would prefer. You even said you would want wing backs. Conte is all about that, right? So I don't know. A Ten Hag, I mean, he bottled so hard that we got to the final, you know? So
Perfect for Tottenham.
yeah, I don't know if I want that. But I mean, he's done very well with Ajax. But like I said, yeah, bottler. I
I
don't know if
would,
we want that.
for me, I think 'cause I want Pochettino back because I absolutely love him, and I think he deserves. You know, he's the best ever manager other than Bill Nicholson, and like
Mm,
he should have never got sacked. I think a lot of people will disagree that obviously our domestic league form was awful, like all the way back from before the Champions League final, but to get to a Champions League final, right? Yes, we had probably a better squad then than we do now, but I can't justify sacking a manager 6 months after a Champions League final. Yes, we lost. I just don't. What should have
I
happened,
think
right?
I
What should have
think Levy
happened?
just
Go on.
pressed the panic button because I know that Klopp and Guardiola were having terrible seasons at the beginning, and
Mm,
then look where they ended up now. They're both
I
in
just
Champions League. Man City won the league. That's because they backed them. They just kept them going, let them do their thing. With Poch, yeah, we were a little bit low, and then all of a sudden, Levy pressed the panic button. Poch gone
yeah, the panic button.
after
Yeah, that's true. But I think it was
should
more
have
to it
backed them.
than that because we'd spent a bit of money in that summer in 2019 on players like Ndombele and Lo Celso. It was like it didn't work, so it was like it didn't work straight away. But if he gave him no time for that to gel, I mean, the final nail in the coffin was when I think it was we lost 3-0 to Brighton away, and it was a terrible performance. It was the game that Lloris properly broke his elbow. Do you remember?
Yeah,
And that for me, I knew that was when he was going to go. I think he got sacked the week after, and I'm just thinking about it now. Like, yes, he did invest that summer. There's no excuse about that. But A, did he get the players he really wanted? B,
mm,
how much control did Pochettino have over those transfers? And C, why did he not get time to then get to January and maybe like reassess and invest in what he wanted again? Because for me, it
yeah,
was like sack Pochettino. Mourinho was clearly lined up because it was a very quick announcement of him being sacked, and then a day later, Mourinho was appointed. But for me, it was such weird timing in November that year, 2019. And we have gone backwards since, let's be honest. Yes, we had good spells under Mourinho, but have we actually improved since that last season with Poch where we finished wherever in the league and got to the Champions League final? No, we haven't. We have not improved since then
no,
because yes, like I said, we were top at one stage, but it's all very well and good being top at one stage. But where did we finish under Mourinho? We didn't do well at all.
no,
And
no.
and I just feel like if Pochettino is appointed, he has to have some real control over the transfers. A new director of football is needed, and we just need to really invest where is necessary in a new centre back, potentially some new fullbacks, potentially some new centre midfielders, and definitely a backup striker slash new striker if Kane leaves. And it's really important that happens because if we appoint Pochettino with no plan with our squad, we're going to just be in the same stages where we were when he left, where we were just putting in bang average, terrible performances. It's just
Yeah,
going to happen again, isn't it? And it's really going to ruin his legacy from the first time if that happens. That's the only thing I'm worried about with Pochettino. With Conte, if he comes in, when we sign Conte as the manager, he will only sign that dotted line if he knows he's going to get the players he wants. That's what Conte is all about. He
yeah.
went to Inter Milan, he got those players he wanted, and guess what? He won the league.
Well, yep.
So over Juventus, yes, they had a poor season, of course, but Atalanta had a good season, and the other teams that challenged Inter Milan were way better than everyone because he had
Yeah.
that five at the back, like you said, or three at the back, however you want to see it.
Hmm.
So for me, I
Yeah,
would be happy with either.
yeah. I think that what is it? I think it all just comes down to Levy wanting like being okay with moving players on.
Mm,
Not saying that he should move Kane on,
mm,
but a good example was the Ericsson one. Ericsson said like he actually came out and said that he wanted to go. Why you would keep him when you know the player doesn't want to be there anymore, when he's on this last year? I just don't understand that because yeah, he wants money, but in the end, he only ended up getting 15 million for him. We could have gotten a lot more in the summer.
And he
We
was a
could have,
passenger.
yeah,
The thing is that
yeah.
their thinking was we'll have world-class Ericsson for another season. He was a passenger. He did not want to be there. I remember going to a few
Nope,
games and thinking he did not want to be there.
nope. And he was just he was playing very reserved because he didn't want to get injured, so he can get a move. And I also think that at the same time, if we had sold him, we could have used that money on players that we were linked to that summer that we were supposedly short on money for. Dybala or Bruno Fernandes. Those would have been perfect Ericsson
Oh,
replacements.
don't. Oh, close to players, but at the end of the day, nowhere near them.
Yeah.
We were linked with so many players that at that stage,
Yeah.
it's
Bruno
really
even wanted to come. Like I'm pretty sure he actually didn't he come out and say that he was excited to play for Spurs?
Oh, I'd not. I'm not too sure. If I did know about that, that was erased from my memory quite quickly. But I
Because I
know he was.
remember,
I know
yeah.
he was
That
really
was,
linked. He was really linked.
yeah, he really wanted to play under Poch, and then Poch was excited to have him here. And I think Poch would still be in the job if he had gotten Bruno. Imagine Kane and Bruno and Son. That would be
But
unstoppable.
you say that. But if you think about our season this year, offensively we were fantastic at times, most
Yeah.
of the time. Even if we had Bruno, we might have scored a few more goals. But guess what? Guess what's behind them?
Well, yeah,
Awful. And that's where it needs to change.
but I think if we could have maybe made the Champions League and gotten more money to get defenders, you know? Because I think that was another thing that we didn't make Champions League, so all that Champions League money didn't come in. And I'm pretty sure that's something Levy even said when everyone was getting really up on him about the fact that he needs to spend money in the summer. And then that was his response. We didn't make any Champions League money,
I
but he
would
tried.
argue. I would argue that I understand where if that's what he said, there where he's going. But you got to remember, if you're in a football club, you got to invest money. Like
Hmm.
it's not a business to make money. That's it. This is where owners go wrong nowadays. It's not about your profit and loss sheet. It's about silverware. It's about being successful as an owner and leading your club or directing your club to some kind of success. Like
Yeah,
that's
the
the
money will
goal.
come. The money will come when you spend it properly, right? Like
Exactly.
getting a
Exactly.
Bruno in, making Champions League, then the next summer, okay, we need new defenders, bring
And you
one
got a bit
in.
more money. Exactly. So
Yeah, you
the
got more
thing is with
money.
this club is it's not going to go anywhere unless it makes some risks with transfers. And when I say risks, I mean making some considerable transfers worth 60, 70 million plus at centre back so that you then have a better defensive record. And guess what? You'll be further up the league. It's how it works. And if they don't, invest heavily this summer, I'll be very, very not just upset, but it has to happen at some point with Tottenham. They have to invest
Yeah,
because
not
they can't just keep going. Because we're just gonna have a bang average season if we don't invest this. If we lose Harry Kane, genuinely, we are a 10th, 11th place club. Let's be honest.
yeah. Yeah.
Imagine we lost Kane and Son this year. It doesn't even bear thinking about. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap up the
Yep.
podcast this week. It's been a good one, Andre, and thank you again for joining me today. I enjoyed going through the season review of such an average season, but it was good fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No worries, guys. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Pods, make sure you check us out on YouTube now. Obviously, we're doing video podcasts, so make sure you come and subscribe to us on YouTube. And yeah, guys, just leave your feedback in the comments about what you think of Spurs this season, and also what you thought of the manager links and who you want to see, Pochettino, Conte. Let us know. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching and listening to the Spurs Related podcast, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye.